and welcome to episode 10 of the Grapplehook Podcast. My name's Matt and I'm joined as always by Dan. How's it going?
It's me. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You were feeling a bit poorly last week. How are you feeling this week?
Yeah, I'm all right. I think I wasn't poorly on the podcast. It was kind of, was it afterwards or before? I can't remember. But yeah,
just after.
It's not the C bomb. I'm all right.
No. Well, we're hitting lockdown number 2 now in England, so it's the COVID is sweeping us, so they think. So we're all staying inside, but it doesn't make much difference for me and you. In fact, if it wasn't for work, I don't know if I'd realise that there was a pandemic going on and just be sat inside playing video games. So not sure about you.
Yeah, well, I think it doesn't really feel like we're going into a lockdown because I don't go to pubs, I don't go to restaurants, I don't really do any shopping. So, I mean, those are the main things that have all shut, really, aren't they? So,
everything else is still open.
Yeah, doesn't really seem like there's much different for me, but hopefully it actually does something and it works.
Fingers crossed. It would be nice to actually have some sense of normality next year, but who knows? Weirder things are happening. We've got the election news going on at the moment over in the States, which just seems like it's bizarre. I can't remember an election that's as weird as the one that's going on at the moment. I'm not massively into American politics because I'm not in America. So, but it is weird. Have you seen any of the stuff going on with that at the moment?
I'm weirdly interested by it. I can't explain it, and I'm not the only one. I've seen sort of people on Twitter say, like sort of posting memes or like pictures of themselves like sat 6 inches in front of a screen with a glass of wine because they just can't bear not to look away. It's sort of weirdly captivating. I can't quite explain it, but yeah, I've kind of paid attention and watched some of the live streams on Twitter and some of the broadcasts and stuff, but I mean, they're saying that, some of these counts can go on for like another week or something. So,
I think it's crazy, that, isn't it?
I think, we'll sort of wait for it all to properly unfold and whatnot. But yeah. Times are changing.
I mean, I'm massively interested in the UK elections. I typically, read all the manifestos, make sure that when I go to vote, I'm confident in the person that I'm voting. And as always, it's never the person that I agree with all the policies. It's probably it's the party that I disagree with the least amount of stuff with, that when I go into the voting booth. But obviously the UK, which is probably the same size as New York State, we have all ballots there, people are counted, but the US is massive, so this must be a huge undertaking. And of course, it doesn't make things any easier with the stuff that's going on with the virus over in the States at the moment. So all we can do, I suppose, is wait. But people that are really, really, really on the edge of their seats with this election, it's going to be weird now to kind of see, how long you're going to have to wait until you get an outcome, really. From what I can see, it looks like 44 out of 50 states now have counted, and Biden's got a pretty strong lead at the moment, but 4 states, once they give an outcome, will determine the outcome of the election. So who knows? I'm hoping by this point next week we'll have we won't be talking about it anymore because we'll have a clear view on who the president is. But the way that the Republican Party at the moment are basically saying things are there is elements of fraud and counting errors and irregularities and things like that. I reckon we'll be hearing about this for a while. I don't know whether true or not, but yeah, I don't think we'll be hearing it going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I think for me, what intrigued me is kind of just imagining the kind of House of Cards scenarios going on in the background and the sort of power grabs and the sort of I won't pretend to understand the ins and outs of American politics, but I sort of understand that there's, a presidency vote and there's a Senate vote and the House, and all of these different things mean different things in Washington. And one house or one side of the vote can get the Senate, but then the other side might get the presidency, and then there's all this different sort of grabs for power going on. I mean, I've not watched all of House of Cards, but there's that kind of it's a real life sort of version of this, isn't it? It's like a real life political drama, and there's obviously a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and I mean, crazier things have happened. You don't know if there is some well, organized conspiracy, robbing one party of something and helping the other, or if it's all completely above board and it's just conspiracy theorists just fueling the controversy. It's you obviously you don't know. Regular Joes like me and you are just kind of we're just pawns in the machine ultimately. But I think
Yeah.
it's something to, I don't know, just keep an eye on. At the end of the day, even when it's all said and done, actual day-to-day life doesn't change drastically. You still have to get up and do your shopping and go to work, and your Xbox is still going to come out next week and the PlayStation the week after. Life goes on, so just keep your head down and get on with it.
Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, as long as the main thing you can do is use your right to vote whoever you feel most comfortable with, and cash and go to the ballot, and that's all you can do. And hopefully, everything goes well for any of our American listeners that are over there at the moment. Either way, things could potentially change. But ultimately, it's interesting to see what's happening over in the pond, at the other end of the pond. So, but for us, it's not going to impact us too much. But we
It's
are still
always it's
watching
always a
from the
big event,
sidelines.
isn't it? The US election's always a big event. They're kind of like the shining light of democracy. They're the country that they're supposed to lead by example and show the rest of the world how it's done. So it's always going to get attention, isn't it? It's hard to avoid it. It's not a small event, and it does have ramifications on us and other countries that have arrangements with trade and NATO and all of the the political the agreements that are in place and whatnot. So it's it's worth paying attention to, but um, it hasn't eclipsed my excitement for the next generation of consoles or gaming news. So
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. So if you're listening to us at the moment, we are the Grapplehook Podcast. We're a gaming podcast, and we record each and every week. Me and Dan get together. We talk about things we've been playing. We talk about the gaming news that's happened, and then we answer any questions or any thoughts, concerns that you have that you've sent through to the show about. Now, you can reach out to the show by contacting us on Twitter at GrapplehookPod, or you can send us an email at which is grapplehookpodcast@gmail.com. Now, before we get into the games we've been playing, I always want to bring up, Dan, you've got into a bit of a controversy on the internet on Twitter for
am I?
your comments there, say about Game Pass.
Oh, here we go.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What's going on?
Well, controversy first and foremost.
Well, maybe debate is the right turn of phrase.
Well, I mean, I I'm not afraid to speak my mind and put unpopular opinions out there. I mean, my sort of approach to social media is it's a way of expressing your views, and I think if it's done so in a way that's respectful, you can have intelligent conversations. At the end of the day, people are going to have disagreements with you, and I welcome disagreements. In fact, I'd rather speak to people who have different opinions to me than people who have the same opinions, because those conversations are boring. If you speak to someone that doesn't agree with you, then as long as they're intelligent and they're responsible and they're adults, and you can have a mature conversation, then it's interesting. You get to see something from a different perspective. I think all I really said is I don't think Game Pass represents good value for money, and a couple of people have responded to that expressing otherwise, and that's that's their prerogative. I certainly don't. I certainly don't want to come across as attacking people. I don't want to sort of make people feel as though they have to defend their investments. If somebody feels like they get good value for money and I don't, that's fine. I mean, that's 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 life, isn't it? We don't have to agree.
Well, yeah, of course, definitely. It makes no difference if you've got something you're, this kind of almost like it impacts the way that people talk about the next gen consoles, at least online. Like you have to justify your purchase by kind of, dunking on the opposite console. Like I've bought an Xbox Series X, which means that the PlayStation 5 is worse. That's why I didn't buy it, and I have to let
Yeah,
everyone know online about why that's the case. But obviously, it is your prerogative, whatever you want to buy for, and whatever you're content with. Um, you know, buy the thing that you want, play the service that you want, whether it's Netflix, Amazon Prime, exactly. So, but just kind of bring the audience up to speed in case anyone hasn't seen the Twitter conversation. So where do you sit on Game Pass at the moment? Are you a fan of the service? Are you a subscriber of the service at the moment?
no. The only time I've been subscribed to Game Pass is when I've had a free trial, which I can't remember. I might have got it with a headset or a controller or something. I had like a month's free, and then I had a £1 month's subscription, really just to explore the service, just sort of see if it is something that would appeal to me. I think the issue with Game Pass that I've expressed through Twitter is that I if you're looking at it from the perspective of you subscribe to it because it gives you access to Xbox Game Studios day one on release, which now moving into the next generation are, well, presumably they're going to be £70 products. So
Yeah,
if you look at buying one or two of those every year, there's that's £140. Now I think, if I'm not mistaken, the most expensive Game Pass subscription is the Ultimate version, which costs £10.99, and that includes Xbox Live Gold. It includes the Game Pass on PC as well as Xbox. It includes discounts on various store purchases. It includes games for gold. I'm assuming that's continuing into the next gen. And it includes the xCloud stuff. So it's quite a comprehensive bundle. There's a lot going on in that. I think if you make the most of all of those services, console, PC, cloud purchases, store purchases, if you're using all of those actively, then you could make the case that the first party exclusives are secondary to that because you're getting a continuous value for money. But from my point of view, I wouldn't use the xCloud stuff because I'm not a handheld gamer. I don't play stuff on my phone, through controllers, be it a mobile phone game or a console game or a streaming game. Like, handheld gaming isn't for me. That's not typically something I spend much time doing. So I don't see any value for me in the xCloud currently. The PC Game Pass, I think, it's so bad in terms of content. There's just it's almost laughable the library of games that are available through the PC version of Game Pass. So
yeah,
that I almost dismiss. Oh, and sorry, I should mention the EA Play is coming to the Game Pass as well. I don't think that's currently a part of it, but it's coming soon. Um, the console version of Game Pass is irrelevant to me because I don't have an Xbox. I don't plan on getting one at launch. It's going to be a little while before I get one. So what it offers through there is redundant to me currently.
yeah,
And obviously the first party exclusives. I mean, I don't have an Xbox to benefit by them. I do have a PC, a pretty decent one. So, there are potentially games that will be available on the PC that I'd be interested in. Whether or not my system holds up going into the next generation, that I don't know. Halo Infinite, I don't know what the specs will be, but overall, the package doesn't appeal to me.
yeah.
Now,
I get that definitely.
the the allure of Game Pass for me isn't all of the things that I've listed, but rather the idea that every year, if there are two full priced Xbox first party games that will come out on Game Pass, then you will save money by subscribing to Game Pass because you won't have to buy those games. My argument currently is that Xbox have not proven to me that they can release first party exclusives on a yearly basis. And
Yeah.
one of the replies, I don't want to name drop people. If people want to go and read the thread, then they can read the thread. But I don't want to name drop people on the podcast if they've not kind of given me the okay to do that. But I'll say what one of the replies listed all of the games that have come out on Game Pass over the last few years, and for me it kind of it sort of actually reinforced my opinion. Like, actually, there haven't been games that have come out that warrant a Game Pass subscription if you're subscribing purely based on first-party exclusives. And I think the examples given were Gears 5, which I only had the misfortune of playing on PC, and it was absolutely dreadful. It's a broken mess, and I'm a huge Gears fan, so I'm devastated by that. And then there was the example of Crackdown 3. Crackdown 1 to me was a lot of fun, but I didn't buy Crackdown 1 to play Crackdown. I bought it to play the Halo 3 beta, and I just happened to get a good game because of it. Crackdown 2, I only played because I worked at Blockbusters and I got it for free for a week, and it was okay. I wasn't going to buy Crackdown 3, so that isn't something that interests me. And then I think there was State of Decay 2 was mentioned as well. I'm trying to remember what they all were. Forza.
I mean, in short, from what you're saying is basically that the selection of first-party games, whilst it does have first-party games on there at the moment, the selection is quite small, particularly if you're a PC gamer.
They haven't been,
don't play on the console.
They haven't been consistent over the last 3 years. Game Pass has been going for 3 years.
I fully
so I don't
agree with that.
I don't think it comes as any surprise for anyone that listens to this podcast that when we did a top 5 Xbox games, Xbox exclusives, and I could only come up with 2, I don't think it really comes as any surprise when I say I don't think subscribing to Game Pass for access to first-party exclusives represents good value for money, because the games aren't there. Now, moving into the next gen, we don't know what's coming out in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I think the problem for me with Game Pass is that the value is always viewed retrospectively, in that you don't know what first party games are going to be on there a year from now, or 2 years, or 3 years. So if I buy Halo Infinite in 6 months' time, or whenever it comes out, I don't know if there's going to be another first party exclusive within a year. It might be another year and a half. It might be 2 years. So it's really hard to justify subscribing purely on the basis of just getting first-party games when they come out, because the track record isn't there right now.
Yeah, I think what's going to be interesting is obviously Xbox has bolstered their first-party lineup quite considerably over the past year or so, and those companies haven't yet, or studios haven't yet released games. Like, you've got, obviously we saw in the last showcase, we saw the Avowed coming from the guys who made Path of Exile and those type of games. Not Path of Exile, so man about why is that game completely skip my brain now?
Avowed, isn't it an Obsidian IP?
That's the one, Obsidian. Yeah, it's like the first person. I felt like I had a complete brain fart then. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. There's quite a lot of other things on there that are coming as well. You've got the new Doom game's going to be coming to that. Obviously, any Bethesda games coming to that. So at the moment, there's a lot of potential there, but they haven't yet released new games that are on the service. Yeah. So ultimately, Xbox, the thing that's hammered them in the current gen as Xbox One compared to PS4 has been their quality of first-party lineups. I mean, there will be some people out there who will try and argue that Xbox has a stronger lineup than PlayStation 4, and it's just not true. It is absolutely just not true. The PlayStation has had the best showcase of first-party game titles this generation. Now, obviously, will that tired formula carry over to PlayStation 5 when it comes to like the same kind of moody third-person zombie broken down America, desolation, apocalyptic scenarios going forward. Who knows? But ultimately, no, only time can tell with that. But if you're looking at it retrospectively, they have got the strongest lineup, so you'd assume that going into the next gen, they're going to have the stronger lineup as well. And Game Pass, whilst it might be a nice product, particularly if you've got a console, Xbox, and you may have been like buying 2 games a month and think, oh, well, I can just pay one subscription each month and then that gives me loads of games so I don't need to buy loads of, then you're probably making a saving there. But yeah, I completely get the point that you've come across with. And I think, who knows, maybe this time next year that could change depending on what we see from Microsoft's first party. But at the moment, the first party, particularly on PC, isn't there. I mean, we're still waiting now to get the Master Chief Collection on PC fully. We're still waiting for that. And they're in Halo 4's in beta at the moment, and then you've got Halo. In fact, no, Halo 5's not coming to PC, is it? I think they said that it's not coming to PC. It's sorry, it's coming to PC. It's just.
Well, I don't think that was ever part of the Master Chief Collection, was it?
No, I think it's because they were talking about the idea of bringing all the Halo games to PC. Yeah. But yeah, we're still like that. That's the kind of point, how long these games have been out on Xbox. They said they were coming to PC, and how long it's taken for that transition and journey. It does, it doesn't put much faith in, there's not much faith there if you are a PC gamer trying to get the most out of Xbox game studios at the moment.
I mean, just to make this, abundantly clear as well, if PlayStation offered the exact same service, I wouldn't subscribe to it. It's not even an Xbox thing. The principal issue that I can't get past is that I like owning my games, and I understand that there's a certain sort of value in terms of what money you can save and whatnot, but I still like the idea that when a game comes out, I buy that game and then I own it forever. I don't have to think like, oh, what if this gets taken off this service? What if what if I can't subscribe to the service 1 month and then I can't play it? Or I just like the idea that when a game comes out, if I'm excited about it, I buy it and I play it. And I think the other thing going into this next generation, I said 1 or 2 episodes ago, my intention with the increase in the price now of games being £70 on release, my intention is that every PlayStation game I buy, I'm going to platinum it. I'm going to finish it. Whether or not I hold up to that by the end of the generation of games, I don't know. A game might come out and there might be one of the most difficult platinum trophies in the world to obtain and I just can't get it. But my intention is that I am going to milk every single game I get to its absolute nth degree. Like I'm really striving to 100% everything. So I think to that reason, I'm not interested in the idea of paying a subscription and then playing games that are available within that subscription. I just want to buy them, own them, and play them. Call me old-fashioned and a bit silly with money, but that's just the way I feel. I just can't get past it. So, we'll see. I mean, I'm open to change. I'm not that narrow-minded, but for me at the moment, when Miles Morales comes out, I'm going to buy it. Cyberpunk comes out, I'm going to buy it. In fact, I already have bought them. I've pre-ordered them. And I'll get them finished and then I'll move on to something else. But I certainly don't intend to subscribe to a PlayStation Game Pass or an Xbox Game Pass because it just doesn't interest me.
Yeah, definitely. No, I can understand that. So obviously we talked a lot about the games that you're not playing. What games have you been playing last week?
Do you know, not very much. I played Battlefield 5, which I talked about last week, so I won't bang on about this week. But yeah, I've just been getting more into that. Just a nice sort of stress release. Stress inducer sometimes, but mainly a stress release. You just go on and shoot some people and have some fun. I've dived a bit more into the grand operations mode rather than just the regular conquest. So that's kind of, it's a bit more coordinated. There's an attacking team and a defending team, and you sort of fight 3 different rounds that take place in game over 3 different days. So it's it's a nice sort of change of pace, and I'm enjoying that. So. Yeah,
nice.
Getting into that a bit more. But yeah, not really thinking anything more than that. I've downloaded the PS Plus free game, so I've got Hollow Knight on the PS4 now. So I might jump into that on the big screen. And
yeah,
I think the other one was it? It was Hollow Knight and
Shadow of War.
yeah, Shadow of War. I'm not going to play that. And then I think last month it was Vampire, wasn't it? And Need for Speed, which I ain't going to play. But I played like about 30 minutes of Vampire just to kind of see what it's like. Seemed all right.
Yeah, that was the one by Dontnod, wasn't it? That's the guys who made Life is Strange. So it was a bit of a departure from them.
Yeah, what I wasn't sort of expecting. I've sort of got to a bit now where you kind of get past the sort of the opening of the game, and it sort of gives you a little bit of an insight into the kind of the story and the sort of the origins of the characters, and and then it's kind of I think I'm at a point now where it's kind of become open world, and I wasn't expecting an open world game, so I kind of
Right,
sort
yeah.
of saved it and logged out, but it seemed all right. I mean, the story
Yeah.
seemed pretty weak at first, and the voice acting was pretty laughable, and I wasn't blown away by it, but yeah,
No. It's definitely the return of AA games, isn't it, that we're seeing at
yeah,
the moment. But that it kind of reminds me of all those games that you used to play, like Devil May Cry used to be one of those type of games, and Chaos Legion and all those ones for the PS2 era, and they kind
yeah.
of disappeared with PS3, so it's nice to see them coming back. So it's like that and Greedfall and other type of games that are AA but have like a charming appeal to them, really.
Yeah. No, it seemed okay. I wasn't blown away by it. I don't feel desperate to run back to it and play it. It's kind of just just another free game to stick on the library, and maybe one day I'll play it if I don't have anything else to play.
Well, you've got Hollow Knight now to play, and that's surely on the big TV will keep you quite enthralled, quite engaged, I can imagine. So.
We'll see. We'll see. I know you hold it in very high regard, so I'll reserve opinion until I've actually played it and seen it.
Yeah, my number one game of the generation from last week's podcast, so definitely highly recommended.
Yeah. And you, what have you been on with?
So I'm still slugging through Destiny 2. I feel like this is kind of like a bad girlfriend that won't go
Bit of a
away.
meme now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's well we've I mentioned my objective with that was to get to the point where I can do all the content before it gets vaulted, and I've done that now. So I've done the main campaign, which was the Red War. I've done Curse of Osiris, and I've now completed Warmind. And I'm now putting it on pause for a bit until the vaulting happens and the Beyond Light expansion gets released. But no, I thought Curse of Osiris was quite dull. I didn't really enjoy it too much. It was really boring. And you kind of doing the same things over and over. But Warmind, whilst it was a lot shorter, it had a lot more action to it, which I was quite enjoying, particularly like the Valkyrie weapons, where you just almost like you're fighting these creatures, the enemies on screen, and then all of a sudden you can just pick up this trident which basically nukes enemies. It was just quite fun, makes you feel godlike for like 30 seconds, which is good. So but yeah, I'm pausing that at the moment because I'm in no rush now to get Forsaken, which is the next expansion done, and that's going to be releasing on Series X and in an expanded version. So when I'm going to probably return to it once I've got the new console.
All right.
So yeah, Destiny 2, I played a bit of that. I've been smashing Hades. So since last week, I dipped my toes in and been playing for about half an hour. I think between now and that podcast and this podcast, I must have played about maybe 5 to 10 hours of Hades now. And I'm absolutely enthralled with it. It is so good. It has such good hooks in terms of the roguelike element. My favorite type of roguelikes are the ones where you feel every time you die, you gain something from that replay. So you feel stronger every time that you die and you come back and you purchase upgrades incrementally. It does that really well, but then it has a really, really good soundtrack. Like it mixes like what you'd imagine like an ancient Greek soundtrack, but then there's like rock that kicks in like in boss battles, and it's tough as nails, violent, gory. You see your character die in multiple ways. And the way that they interact with the characters, one of the things that I noticed very early on with the game is that it doesn't repeat itself very often in terms of, you'll go through, you'll see the same bosses, but then there'll be like different dialogue every time you see the same bosses and different voice lines for when they pick up the same weapons and stuff like that. So you can tell there's been a real attention to detail in this game to make it seemed different. So it's really appealing that way, and there's just loads to do on it. But it's proper kicking my backside at parts now. So I'm hitting a bit of a wall where I need to grind a bit more, but I can't recommend that game highly enough for what I've played so far. Definitely Supergiant's new direction and what they've gone, and it's paid off really well.
There's a bit of a movement for that to get Game of the Year, isn't there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely fantastic. I can't. It's just the level of polish in terms of the gameplay, how it has the randomness element to it, but also the voice acting is just fantastic. Every single character, every single Greek god that you encounter has a unique voice actor for it, or a unique voice for it, and it's the dialogue's really detailed and rich. The upgrade systems is massive. It just keeps going and going. And you feel like when you die in the game that it was like, yeah, no, I know what I did there. I should have dodged there, or it feels fair. It's not like my problem with like Dark Souls and things like that, where your sword will bounce off or you clip an edge of a wall and your sword will bounce off, but then the enemy's swords can just go straight through the wall and hit you. It just feels cheap sometimes. But yeah, that one does really well. So Hades, I could easily see that being one of the games of the definitely game of the year conversation for sure.
Oh, very good.
I can't recommend it enough. And that's at the moment it's on PC and it's on Nintendo Switch. You can get it on Steam and the Epic Store, but I can imagine it's going to come to PlayStation soon. And I would have said Xbox, but when I checked, actually, Supergiant haven't released a game on Xbox since Bastion, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but hopefully it can be on as many consoles as ways to play as possible, because I
What have
think
they
it just needs to be
released since
experienced.
Bastion? What, Transistor was, I'm guessing, one of the middle ones.
Yeah, so Bastion was the first one, and they ported that to pretty much everything. I think Bastion even came out on PS Vita, and then Transistor came out, and that was a PC and PlayStation 4 game.
Yeah.
And then after that, they released.
Until Dawn. Is that?
Oh, that's Supermassive Games.
Oh,
You're thinking of.
sorry. Yeah.
Supergiant. They released
Supergiant games. Yeah, I'm getting the mixed up now.
Easy mistake to make. They also released Pyre,
Infringement.
which was a party-based RPG, and then the latest game that released was Hades, which had just come out of early access. So yeah, highly recommended that. And yeah, I've dabbled with State of Decay 2, which I didn't expect at all. I was feeling I wanted to play something a bit zombie-like for Halloween. I usually go back to Silent Hill 2 because it's just it's my favorite horror game of all time. But I thought I want to play something different this year, and I picked up State of Decay 2. And it's not a horror game; it's just a fun shooty zombie game. And yeah, it's all right.
Yeah,
it's all right. I don't understand the mass appeal about it. It's got the shooting zombies, the kind of collecting resources that you kind of get from games like DayZ and the like. But
well, I think the first State of Decay kind of had a very sort of loyal cult following, didn't it? I don't think it was like at first I don't think it was like a commercial success, but as time's gone on, it's just gotten massive, and there's such a loyal community that I think it was at a point where there just had to be a sequel. Like they can't not continue the franchise. And I mean, I never played State of Decay 1, so I didn't really have anything to go by, but I did play State of Decay 2, and I mean, I enjoyed it for a while. The kind of the base, sort of setting up the base, and recruiting the community, and played like a little bit of the co-op sort of, which worked mostly okay. But after kind of the initial sort of, once you get into like the game loop of finding petrol and finding resources and keeping the electricity running and stuff, it kind of, for me, it kind of quickly wore off, and I wasn't really interested too much by it. But
yeah, I can see the appeals disappear, 'cause I played the first one and I enjoyed the first one at first, for the first like five hours or so, but then it just did become a repetitive grind. Go to an area, clear it out, go to another area, clear it out, so forth, and there wasn't much else to it really. They introduced the system of the I don't know exactly what it's called, like the plague hearts or something like that, where there's like a disease that your inhabitants can get, which make it a bit more difficult. But the game is very easy. I mean, I'm playing it. I picked Dread, so which is the one above the default the game puts you on, and it's still very easy. There's no real worry about it. I like the fact that it has permadeath for your characters, very similar to State of Decay, but it's just a bit of dumb fun, really. I can't say, yeah, I can't recommend it or tell people to avoid it. I just think it's one of those easy play games. One thing I will say it's quite good about the fact the game is that it is only 13 gigabytes big on PC, and like I think it's 11 gigabyte on Xbox One, and it's one of those games that has save anywhere, so you can play on the Xbox and carry your save on the PC.
Yeah,
But I think in a world where all game sizes seem to be just getting ridiculous, it's nice and refreshing to play a game that takes 5 minutes to download. So
indeed. Are you going to try out the co-op mode on it at all, or?
I'm not sure. I mean, as you know, I don't know if I'm even going to be playing it for much longer. Really, I mean, I'm enjoying it on PC. I've been playing the single player stuff, but I don't. The idea of co-op, I think, doesn't really appeal to me for that type of game. So I can imagine if I played it regularly and had a consistent group of people that I would jump on and play. But with so many other games that are fighting for my time at the moment, and with next gen just around the corner, I don't think it's going to be. I mean, obviously I'm getting the Series X, which comes out in 5 days, and I've got games already lined up what I'm going to be playing when that comes out. So sadly, I think this game's just going to not
Fall by
out
the
of
wayside.
choice, but it is going to fall by the wayside, which has happened with other great games that I've played in the generation, like The Witcher 3 and other games where I started, got partway through, took a break, and then come back to it, and it's just like, what am
Well,
I doing this?
it is a Game Pass title, so you will have access to it on the Xbox Series X. You'll be able to play it in all its shining glory.
Yeah, I think by the time I get back to it after playing all the other stuff, State of Decay 3 will probably be out, so
It'll probably be about 3 years old as well.
yeah, exactly. So
Very good.
so yeah, so no, yeah, they're the three ones that I can really say I've been playing. So so I don't know about you, but have you got any news that you want to share in terms of things that have caught your eye in the gaming sphere this past week or so?
Well, there's been some selling and buying in the Japanese sort of markets. I'm sure you've seen. There's the rumored acquisition of Crunchyroll by Sony. They're apparently the only bidder at $957 million, and they're looking to well, presumably take over Crunchyroll and what one would think merge with Funimation, their existing subscription service that they purchased.
Yeah, I mean Funimation and Crunchyroll are probably like the two biggest players in terms of like anime streaming services. At least I'm aware
Well,
of.
Funimation, when I looked, had a million concurrent subscribers, and Crunchyroll had 3 million concurrent subscribers and about 67 million free viewers. But you know, let's not labour that point. Let's keep it free and accessible. But yeah, no, I mean the initial sort of excitement for me would be if there was some way of Crunchyroll being introduced into the PS Plus subscription, possibly as a free edition. That would be, really awesome to have Crunchyroll Premium. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, it seems like they're the sort of the sole buyers here. There's sort of not a competing bid that at least that I've seen. Certainly nothing that's been reported. So I think that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. I'm sort
Yeah.
of well, I think we're both anime fans, aren't we? So that'd be
Yeah, and I think it makes sense for them. I think with Sony, they've tried doing live action stuff in the past, like they did I think it was Heroes, which was part of their streaming service, PlayStation View, and it's kind of died by the wayside a little bit. And Sony have seemingly supported Crunchyroll for quite a while. In fact, on PlayStation Vita in the UK, we didn't have a Netflix app, but we had a Crunchyroll
yeah,
app. I don't know what that says about it, but it's. I know there were more services available,
Japanese
like you could
company,
get
isn't it? So
Netflix. yeah, you get Netflix in the States on Vita and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a Japanese company. Anime is of course massive and continues to be massive in Japan. It could be a worthwhile investment to kind of branch things out. But Sony, of course, have historically dropped services to focus more on its PlayStation. So it's because they were losing a lot of money, particularly the Bravia products that they brought out with TVs and all sorts. So, the PlayStation's really bolstered Sony and got them out of a lot of trouble. So now they're in this position when they can start making a lot more
Yeah.
acquisitions. And Crunchyroll, I think, said 60 million people watching free across the world. Whilst that might sound bad, of course, by watching it for free, you've got to go through God
Adverts.
knows how
Yeah.
many ads. Yeah. So they're going to be raking in that ad revenue from people who wouldn't be watching the service. Otherwise, they can't get it on there. They'll watch it elsewhere, I'm sure. So
Yeah, and
it's interesting. It's good for
I've kind
them.
of experienced both sides of Crunchyroll, and to be honest, the ads I don't mind them. I mean, like you get used to the idea. It's almost like a commercial break, and it's a chance to have a sip of your drink, or to quickly run to the toilet. It breaks up the episodes, and yeah, the only time I've ever subscribed to premium. Well, I've subscribed a couple of times to the premium, but there was one time where I was getting through a lot of the Naruto, and I just wanted to, sort of get through it without sort of any interruption. And then when I came back to Shippuden to finish that off, and I had about 30 episodes, the adverts were starting to annoy me because I was casting from my phone to my TV, and if the
Right.
connection from my phone to my TV was interrupted and I had to reconnect, it would play another string of adverts, and it was happening like I was honestly like I had it in my head like, God damn it, Crunchyroll, you're doing this deliberately, aren't you? Just to get me to subscribe, you deliberately you've programmed this to cut my cast off. But I subscribed to premium and got those 30 episodes bashed out as quickly as I could. But it's
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent service as well. I mean,
yeah, I
like I
like
said, I
it.
dabbled in premium before in the past, and if you're an anime fan, there's plenty of stuff there. And it's interesting because, of course, Crunchyroll has bolstered its library of stuff, titles at the moment, and so has Netflix as well. Netflix has kind of been dabbling its toes in the anime service at the moment, and there's been some exclusive animes to Netflix which have been really impressive. So Sony's kind of now jumping. Obviously, they already own Funimation, and Funimation, they have licenses to like really big animes like Full Metal Alchemist and things like that, where they will license those out to other streaming services, but like years and years after they were already available on Funimation. So they'll get the money back in some way, but it'll be interesting to see how they play in this sphere going forward with Crunchyroll, because Crunchyroll, it's massive. It's an absolutely massive service. So, and what was funny, I don't know if you saw this. So, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate has a perk system. So that basically, when as a almost like a benefit of subscribing, you'll occasionally get unique DLC or freebies or codes for games and things like that. And in the States, they actually gave away 2 months of Funimation, a subscription, for free.
All right.
So this is obviously an Xbox service giving away Funimation perks, which is owned by Sony. So it was an interesting kind of like full circle there. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
so but plenty there. That'd be interesting. I'm kind of keen to see if that actually goes through, because at the moment it's just a rumor at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty well pretty well confirmed at this point. I think obviously it's a lot of money, and maybe there's some what do they say, like dotting the i's and crossing the t's or whatever. Maybe there's some of that going on before it all gets finalized. But it's on the way.
Yeah, we can only wait and see. I'll be keen to see that though. Hopefully they'll be able to get some like 4K HDR stuff to kind of coincide with the new PlayStation 5. So
Very good. And is there anything that's caught your attention, or?
I think the biggest the thing for me, I say biggest, it's ironic actually. Obviously, anyone who's played Call of Duty, or played Warzone or anything
Is
like
that
that
like an
has
indie game, or?
it's quite small. They've just Activision just made $1 billion in
Microtransactions.
microtransaction revenue. in the past year, thanks to Warzone and Call of Duty Mobile and other ones. But Call of Duty has been getting bigger, not just in the amount of people that it's reaching, but in the game install sizes. And if we go back in June, one thing that kind of stood out is people were kicking off at the fact that the game had an 84 gigabyte patch, which effectively doubled the size of the game. And of course, if you've got limited internet, or you've got, in terms of how much you can download, or you've just got poor internet, it's going to take forever to download these games. But some of us were hopeful. Some people were hopeful that this would change with the future of this series. And Activision has now kind of released the file sizes that are going to be out for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. To kind of bring the audience up to speed. So current gen users who are so basically PS4 and Xbox One are going to have smaller game installs than their next gen counterparts. So the PS4 is going to be 95 gigabytes and the Xbox One is slightly smaller at 93 gigabytes. Next gen wise though, that does increase, and PlayStation 5 weighs in at 133 gigabytes, and Xbox Series X and Series S is going to be 136 gigabytes. This is the base game, so this is before patches and things like that. And Warzone recently hit 200 gigabytes in terms of its file size, which is just insane. Obviously, having a game that big is not going to be a massive issue for, if you've got an Xbox Series X or PS5, because they're going to have bigger hard drive spaces. But if you're planning on getting an Xbox Series S, you might, and you want to play that game, you might want to reconsider your purchase, because the Xbox Series S has no disk drive, and it's got 364 gigabytes of usable storage after the OS, meaning that this one game as base install is going to, without any updates or patches, is going to take up over 37% of your hard drive space, and just over a third just for one game.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's a quick game that you can like delete and reinstall when you want to play it. It's an investment of time.
It's not good, and I think one of the things that is a bit disappointing, obviously, when Mark Cerny did his PlayStation 5 tech video, which I don't know what it is about Mark Cerny, but not that he's an interesting guy, but he has got such a soft tone with the way that he says stuff that, he could just talk to you about anything exciting and it would still put you to sleep in a good way. He's got such a calming voice. But when he's talking about all these, new next gen specs, and one thing that excited him was the fact that because of the repetition in code, they're going to be able to reduce file sizes because they can eliminate that, which means file sizes, even though they are having more stuff in, more, bigger graphical fidelity and stuff like that, they could actually reduce the file sizes as a result. But, I'm not really seeing this in terms of, next gen games from what we've seen so far. I mean, 133 gig for PS5 is still massive. It's still a huge one. So it's a little disappointing. I mean, I'm not a massive Call of Duty fan anymore. I used to be back in the day, but what about you? Are you planning on playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War?
I'm not, no. The thing that the lesson I learn with Call of Duty every time is that I'm always interested in playing the single player and giving it a go, but it's never a, you're never going to get like a 35-40 hour experience. It's like a 10-hour Michael Bay movie. It's just mayhem and explosions for 7 or 8 hours, and then you're done. There's very little replay value, very little reason to go back to it. The meat on the bone for Call of Duty is always going to be its multiplayer, its cooperative modes, its zombie mode, etc. And I would say I've had a gradually diminishing interest in the multiplayer, in the Call of Duty multiplayer. I have to confess, I got Call of Duty for Modern Warfare. I got access to the beta, before that came out. Absolutely smashed the beta. Probably put hundreds of hours into it. When the game came out, probably put 10 times that into it. Thousands of hours. Absolutely loved it. Smashed that game.
This is the original release, not the remaster.
Not the remaster. The original, whenever that was, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And then Modern Warfare 2 came out, and I was kind of okay with it. I was sort of into it. I know a lot of people hold it very, very in very high regard. But I wasn't. It started to become a bit more complicated with its perk systems and various things that were in the multiplayer world. I wasn't out at that point, but I was kind of starting. The writing was on the wall, and then it kind of started going between like Infinity Ward and Treyarch, and then there was these sort of it was basically like an annual release then, wasn't it? All like the different
Yeah.
games coming out, and the only one that really stood out to me, I liked World War Two. That was okay. I liked Black Ops 2. That was really good. I think a lot of people say that's the best Call of Duty of all time. I think that's sort of pretty sort of widely acknowledged. But then everything after that, I don't know. I've become less and less interested, and it's. I think I've got to a point now where the price of the game, the install size of the game, and the state of the multiplayer, it just as a package, it doesn't interest me like it once did.
Yeah.
So
I get that, definitely. I think the fact that the game is it, what's sad about the game, the state of the multiplayer for those type of games is the experience has been cheapened by the obsession with microtransactions in the game. You'd expect a game as premium as Call of Duty, and I say that in terms of the way that it looks, it's like a big blockbuster campaign. There's always a lot of money put into the actual product creation of those games. You'd expect that when you purchase that, you kind of get a premium product, and it feels like the game feels, as soon as you open up the multiplayer lobbies and stuff, it just kind of feels like a free-to-play mess in terms of, everything's really focused on cosmetics. You kind of like, that's the appeal. It's no longer the exciting part of the game is unlocking customization for your weapons in terms of new scopes, new magazines, and
yeah,
stuff that actually changes how the weapons handle. Now you can make your gun look like it's purple camouflage that glows in the dark in neon strips, and the crosshairs have got love hearts on them. It's just completely ridiculous. It's a game that has an 18 rating, which is aimed at kids when it comes to the cosmetics. That's
yeah,
how I feel, and it kind of feels like it's slowly eroding the feel the games once had in terms of their seriousness and the almost like an adult appeal to it. I don't. If I wanted to play Fortnite, I'd play Fortnite. If it wanted to be a game aimed at children, it should have a a Peggy 7 rating or
yeah.
something like that. So
I
yeah,
think
it is a real
I
shame.
think I would say, to kind of play devil's advocate though for a second. I think when a company makes what was it? Was it $1 billion or $1 million in microtransactions? Like what did we say it
Oh
was?
yeah, $1 billion.
$1 billion.
They're not gonna.
Like
Yeah,
if they
exactly.
make $1 billion in revenue, I mean, there's always this sort of theme on social media where where gamers say, look, we have to make what was it like, sort of speak with our wallets. We've got to sort of make a stand against this this greedy sort of publisher behavior. Like only we can stop this. And it it seems to like garner support, but then as soon as I don't know, like a a Captain Price costume comes out, or a shiny gun with a glowing name tag, like people soon their sort of morals waver, and people very quickly jump at the chance to purchase these sort of transaction bundles within the game. And I mean, it's this
Yeah.
kind of, it's not just Call of Duty. You see it in Destiny, you see it in the most recent Ghost Recon with Breakpoint. There's this kind of almost like peer pressure within the game that people have to look different, they have to look unique, and they have to look better than their counterparts. And one way to achieve that is by just simply purchasing a $9.99 bundle. And at the end of the day, like,
Yeah.
devs are not, publishers are not going to stop this behavior if people keep buying them. It's
No,
$1 billion
absolutely not.
of revenue, so
Well, exactly. It's money put on the table, and of course, I'm not their target audience. I might have once been, but they're making
they obviously
ridiculous
sell
amount of
well
money now
enough.
as a
Yeah,
result.
they
Yeah,
obviously sell well
exactly.
enough.
So
So people can't be
yeah,
that mad. So
No, oh no, and I think I'm in the, I'm not the target audience. The people that complain about microtransactions typically are going to be the ones that complain about it the most, but I'll make the most noise about it. But ultimately, you know, the reason why these games make so much money is because of whales, and whales, the term of whale means, the people that basically have a load of money and basically drop loads of money in microtransactions and costs, and that outweighs 100 people buying a £1 or $1 microtransaction. One person will drop like £1,000 on microtransactions,
Yeah.
and for me, it kind of just ruins the experience. But again, these games aren't aimed at me anymore, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a shame. I think they've gone past their prime now in terms of story.
You say that,
Poor
but they're
old.
getting stronger and stronger, aren't they? That's the crazy thing. I think people that have been playing Call of Duty games, for as long as we have, not to kind of preach the, like back in the good old days, like, I think like, yeah, Call of Duty has run its course, but it's almost like there's, a new generation now that have taken the mantle and
Oh yeah, with Warzone, absolutely. It's
it's
kind of
gone from strength to
Warzone's a
strength.
big one, hasn't it?
But I mean,
Yeah.
I think Warzone's an entirely separate topic. But I think that was a good move, in and of itself, because it's now it's an isolated product away from the premium Call of Duty purchases. So you don't have to pay £70 to play, to get the latest Call of Duty to play Warzone. It's there, like they're going to add to
Yeah.
that. It's essentially it's the Call of Duty Fortnite, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And to Activision's credit, when it comes to that kind of stuff, Fortnite, we saw PUBG kind of fall by the wayside when they tried to continue going up against Fortnite. What other company could go into the same kind of market share as Fortnite and Epic and ultimately
Well,
compete directly with
I
them?
do empathise with what was it, Blue? I've watched too much Doctor Disrespect, and he's got a nickname for the developers of PUBG. He calls them Blue. I think he calls them like Blue Balls Gaming or something. I can't remember, but they're a South Korean dev team, and they, if I'm not mistaken, they released PUBG before the Fortnite Battle Royale. It was
Yeah,
essentially
of
it was the
course. Yeah.
first one. So I mean, it's somewhat, I think, harsh to kind of judge or compare PUBG, because I mean, essentially when PUBG came out, it was a paid-for product, but there wasn't anything else like it. There wasn't a free-to-play equivalent, and obviously the release of Fortnite being a free-to-play game has shaken the battle royale genre completely. And I mean, you've seen things like Apex Legends come out free to play, Warzone free to play. I mean, there's been a number of battle royales that have been free to play that perhaps weren't as successful as those. But I mean, Fortnite is the biggest game in the world right now. I mean, there isn't anything bigger than it, and we'll see how long it goes for. But it's
Yeah. I mean, that's
completely
it.
insane.
I mean, that's it. PUBG came out. Fortnite came and stole the idea. I was like, no, not stole, but made the idea and turned it into something else. Obviously, PUBG tried to sue Epic Games, and that failed miserably. And then, you know, there was only Fortnite for a while, and it's like, right, who could actually create or jump into this genre and actually go head to head with Epic Games and Fortnite? And I think the only publisher I'd say that had the money and the capital to do that is either was Activision, and they've kind of stepped in and did that, and kudos to them. They've been able to make a compelling product that has actually eaten into the market share of Fortnite when it comes to that. Obviously it's not as popular as Fortnite. However, clearly they were doing wonders for Activision in terms of their revenue. Like I said, $1 billion just this year alone
Yeah.
for microtransactions is nothing to laugh at, in any way,
Well, it
shape or
offers
form.
it
So
offers a mature alternative, doesn't it? I mean, I don't think Fortnite has, an age limit. I think you can play it whether you're 5 or whether you're, 50 or older. Like, but
yeah,
it's a I would say it has a much friendlier entry level, it's still a game which can be mastered, and the people that play Fortnite professionally and play in World Cups and play for millions of dollars, obviously they have a very unique skill, but anybody can play Fortnite. I think with Warzone, whilst okay anybody can still play it, I think its entry level to be competitive is a bit higher. The sort of, I wouldn't say it necessarily has a steeper learning curve, because Fortnite has all like the building mechanics and stuff, and that sort of takes quite a lot of skill. But I think just sort of getting used to like the weaponry and the the gun mechanics. I'd say the sort of the way that the weapons handle and feel. Each weapon's a bit more unique, whereas in Fortnite, I think generally, a machine gun is a machine gun, a shotgun is a shotgun, a sniper rifle is a sniper rifle. There's not a massive difference, or variation in the performance of the weapon. So I think, they're obviously, I think they appeal to different audiences. They're both battle royales, but I think they have a different target audience, don't they? And I think that's maybe why Warzone has been able to find a corner in the market.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
Speaking about
so
corners in the market, the one of the things that caught my attention was the sort of so in the build up to the PlayStation 5. One of the things I speculated, and I think I might have sort of made this point to you when the console was announced, is the fact that the faceplates can be removed.
yeah,
And I think I remember sort of making the remark to you that it's not going to be long before there's, sort of customizable options. Maybe even Sony will sell, different faceplates rather than having to release an entirely new console. They can just release black faceplates or green faceplates or blue faceplates, whatever they choose to do. And not long after that, a company sort of came to my attention through. I want to say it was someone on Twitter, maybe sort of Eurogamer or someone sort of shared a link to the company. It was a company called PlayStation 5, and
right.
essentially what they what they said about doing was offering customers the option to purchase customizable faceplates for their PS5. So these would be, sort of made, to a high standard. They'd be made in factories in, I don't know, China or, where I don't think they got that far into the sort of the setup of the business. But essentially they were going to be selling faceplates to PS5 customers, and they were offering a number of different schemes. I think obviously the popular one was the black one, and then there
Yeah.
was like a crimson red, and I don't know, like a emerald blue. There's a few different options, and I must admit I even bought one. I didn't tell you. I bought a black faceplate, or rather pre-ordered one, because they weren't making them. They were just sort of gathering pre-orders and then getting ready to sell them. And I was going to surprise you. When I got the PlayStation, I was going to put the faceplates on and send you a picture and say, look what I got.
Oh,
But
nice.
I,
That looks the best way, doesn't it?
yeah, but I got an email from them just out of the blue saying that my purchase had been refunded. I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting a refund, but I think something's gone on here. And I must not have been sort of active on the emails for a couple of days, and I've sort of looked on social media and I looked on their website, and I don't know too much about exactly what happened, but my understanding is Sony have unleashed their wrath on this this startup company, and very quickly shut them down in terms of being able to offer these these face plates, and Sony haven't come out and said that the reason for this is that we're going to be offering this service. They've just shut it down, and I think it was gradual. So basically the company at first dropped the 5 off the end of the name and just called themselves PlateStation to avoid any sort of possible infringement, and then they've gone from PlateStation to Customize My Plates, and they've stopped selling the option to buy plates, and they now offer next gen console accessories. So they've got the stickers that you can put on the side of the panels. They've got sort of some options for some controllers, like a silicon wrap for the PS5 controller. They've got like a stand which you can put the consoles in, so it's like an alternative to the one that comes with it. But they're also doing some Xbox accessories as well. So there's Xbox skins now, and there's
Right.
some really interesting sort of looking ones on there. I don't know if they're doing any sort of controller accessories, but essentially they've had to change, the sort of the business and avoid the copyright infringements that they were sort of infringing on. Um, so inadvertently, I've just sort of advertised their company and kind of put them onto other people. But I think what they're trying to do is really cool, and they're just trying to sort of offer something different and just a bit more sort of customizability going into the next generation, and that's never a bad thing.
No, it's nice. It's good. I mean, one of the things that put me off when I saw the initial launch of the PS5, when we saw the reveal of it, was the white look of it. I've got to be completely honest. I'm not a fan of how the PS5 looks, but then you start seeing kind of the fans out there, the creative types kind of making concept art versions. And when I saw the black version that people have put together, like the black side plates with the blue light up the side, I thought that looks gorgeous. That looks really, really nice.
Yeah,
And it would have been nice to be able to purchase that and just have a bit of customization. Now, obviously, the rumor is that the fact that they are detachable means that PlayStation or Sony are going to be looking at marketing something of their own. You would assume, they typically go out of their way to market their your limited edition consoles, but the fact that the plates are removable, you couldn't do that with a PS4. So these are removable, which means there must be
it
some way
has
that
to
you
be.
they
There's no
there has to
reason.
be,
Yeah,
yeah. But it was nice. I mean, I can't think of a console that's done this since the original Xbox 360, where you could take off the front face plates and replace them with the ones that you could get from
yeah,
like
yeah,
HMV and stuff like
yeah. I
that.
remember
And
that.
some of them looked good, some of them
Yeah,
looked absolutely atrocious, but they were there, and I think there were plenty of third-party options as well, so you didn't even have to go through Xbox or Microsoft's own brand to get those ones. But it's nice to be able to customize your consoles, and one of the things that's good about the limited edition consoles is you can express yourself with those consoles. So obviously, like the Spider-Man console, the Last of Us 2, PS4, all of these. If you're a real big fan of those games, you think, wow, I'd love to have a console that kind of is a celebration of the game that I really enjoyed.
yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get more of those with the PS5. But what a shame! I would have loved to have seen you with your black PS5. But unfortunately, you're gonna have to now,
Well,
at the moment, live with the white one.
unlike you, I have no aversion to the white, the white aesthetic. And one thing that had sort of occurred to me, which I must admit hadn't really factored into my initial sort of pre-order decision. But when I pre-ordered the console, I mean, I really didn't have a choice. It's like I've got an option to buy a digital version. The disc version wasn't even there, and it's like I've got like minutes to make this decision. So it was like buy. Like there wasn't really I didn't need 10 seconds buy. But what I hadn't really considered at the time was the aesthetical difference between the disc version of the PS5 and the digital version, and not to sort of
Yeah,
sound like I'm sort of trying to sort of convince myself of anything, but I honestly, the God's honest truth is when I look at the console side by side, I think the digital version looks better. I can't believe how much difference the removal of the disk drive makes to the overall sort of streamlined aesthetical appearance of the console, because rather than having the facing you, having the right side of the console with that kind of bulge on the side, they're both it's more symmetrical. Both panels are curved the same, and I think the finish is just nicer. Obviously you don't have the practical flexibility of having discs and everything that affords you, but if you're just looking at the aesthetics of the console, I just think that for
yeah.
me, there's no question the digital version is the better looking console.
Oh, 100%. The PS5, the disc PS5 kind of has that weird bulge on the side of it. It doesn't look half as nice. But obviously, if you wanted that functionality of being able to play discs, then the options there. You have to go with the slightly uglier brother as opposed to the digital version.
Yeah,
So
and you know,
it's
I was
interesting.
thinking this as well, like because I was earlier on today, I was setting up a TV stand and just getting, getting sort of the area ready for the PS5 release, and it very quickly occurred to me that where I've got the TV and the recliner and the space where I can just chill and kick back and play games, I don't have anywhere to put games. I don't have any shelves. I don't have any. It's basically just a recliner and a chair, like, or
Yeah.
rather a recliner and a TV stand and a big ass TV on the on the stand. So there isn't actually anywhere to put games. So I was thinking to myself, I mean, the PS4 games at the moment are just literally on the same, sort of shelf that the PS4's on, just to its
Yeah.
side. But it's going to be nice putting the PS5 there and not having to worry about where I put the game boxes. I just, just put them on the console. So
Yeah, no, what a shame. In terms of the appeal and the look of it, I do think the having the customization is there, and hopefully we'll get some official announcement from Sony. But I would like to see a black version of that console
well,
because definitely looks more appealing.
I
So
might get one of the black, skins that they're selling, just to kind of see. I mean, it sort of says that they don't leave any residue when you remove them. That it's bubble-free application. It's just a simple, simple sort of vinyl, peel vinyl and apply. So, it's sort of,
yeah,
I mean, the finish in the preview, obviously it's a rendered image, but it looks the part. I just, yeah, keep an eye on it.
yeah, no, it's good. I should point out, if you can hear any bangs going on in the background, they're not gunshots. It is the 5th of November that we're recording, so there is bonfire night in the UK, so there's tons of fireworks going off at the moment. So I thought I'd just let the audience know, just in case they
Just
thought
a disclosure.
I'm just currently recording in Iraq, and there's war in the middle of a war zone. So, but yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the show. Any closing comments from you, Dan?
No, I think I'll be back next week to enjoy your rambling about the sort of first part of the next generation, and then the week after some more rambling, and then I'll finally get my hands on
God,
a
that's
next gen
exciting, isn't
console.
it? Just looking at the calendar, I'll have by the next time we record, I should hopefully, touch wood, long nothing goes on wrong with the delivery of the order, have the Xbox Series X in my
I
hand.
might be ill for the next
Um,
2 weeks. Next podcast is going to be on the 27th of November.
yeah, listen to me talk about the Xbox Series X, and you're kind of just hovering around the letterbox waiting for PS5 to be delivered. So again, I'm not sure why the delay in the UK, but we can only speculate at this point.
Good
But
things
yeah,
come to those who wait.
indeed, and we have both waited long enough
I've
for these
waited
new
longer.
consoles. So you've waited longer. Well, hopefully, that's a good message for when the PlayStation Vita 2 comes out, because I'll be waiting for that for a while, I can imagine. So,
And you're the only one apparently, but
well, there's me and one other
I've
person,
got a Vita.
probably, I can imagine.
I've got a Vita.
You got a Vita. I bet you were the person that posted up that meme of the dusty Vita with the sad face on it, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I just drew it with my fingers on the screen.
Yeah, because it's just been sat there gathering dust. So,
Very good.
oh dear. Poor Vita. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for listening in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Just remember, you can reach out to the show at Grapplehook Podcast at gmail.com, or you can reach out to our Twitter at Grapplehook Pod. Dan, you're also on Twitter at TatchND.
That's me.
And you can find me on Twitter at Matroidvania. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think about the show, any questions, thoughts. If you listen to us on podcast services, just leave us some nice reviews. It helps us reach out to a wider audience. It's massively appreciated. And until next time, thanks.
Later.